My name's Evan. I'm 31, born and raised in Minnesota, which basically means I grew up thinking frostbite is a personality trait. I'm not one of those winter is magical people. Snow isn't romantic. It's frozen water that ruins your car, your shoes, and your will to live. But hey, rent is cheaper up north, and I'm terrible at making life decisions, so here we are. This happened 3 winters ago. I still can't sleep properly when it snows. I was driving back from my aunt's place after Christmas. 2-lane highway, nothing around but trees, snowbanks, and that kind of silence you only get when the world is frozen solid. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of tires on ice and my own thoughts slowly turning against me. Around 9:40 p.m., my dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. Engine warning. Then the heater died. If you've never had your car heater die in a Minnesota winter, imagine your car politely trying to kill you. I pulled over, called roadside assistance. They said, "Due to weather conditions, estimated wait time is 2 to 3 hours." Great. So my options were 1. Freeze. 2. Freeze with hope. I chose option 2. About 20 minutes later, I noticed headlights behind me. Slow, careful. A pickup truck pulled over ahead and backed up. Out stepped a man, mid-40s maybe, big coat, beanie pulled low. He waved like we were old friends. "Car trouble?" he asked. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rule number 1, never trust strangers on empty winter roads. But here's the thing. When it's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, your survival instincts start negotiating. He said his cabin was just up the road. Warm, phone signal, coffee. Coffee sounded amazing. Warm sounded even better. So yeah, I locked my car, grabbed my bag, and got into his truck. The cabin was about 5 minutes in. Deep woods, no neighbors, no lights except one dim porch bulb flickering like it was tired of existing. Inside was warm, too warm, like someone had cranked the heat to fight something else. The man, he told me to call him Rick, offered me coffee. I noticed he already had a cup poured, waiting. I didn't drink it. We sat at the small kitchen table. No TV, no radio. Just the ticking of a wall clock that was somehow louder than it should have been. Rick smiled a lot. Not creepy smile, practiced smile. He asked normal questions. Where I was headed, where I worked. Then he asked, "You traveling alone?" I laughed. Unless you count anxiety, yeah. He didn't laugh. I went to use the bathroom. That's when I noticed the boots. 4 pairs by the door, all different sizes, all wet. Only one person lived here. In the hallway, I passed a closed door. From behind it, I heard breathing. Not snoring, not movement. Breathing. Slow. Controlled. I froze. Then Rick called from the kitchen. "Everything okay?" I lied. "Yeah, just admiring your, rustic plumbing." When I came back, his smile was gone. That's when the power went out. The clock stopped ticking. The heater died. Silence swallowed the room. Rick didn't move. He said very calmly, "They don't like the dark." My stomach dropped. I asked, "Who's they?" And that's when the door in the hallway opened. I didn't see much at first, just a shape, then another. People. At least 3. Barefoot, pale, eyes reflecting the emergency lantern Rick finally turned on. They weren't tied up. They weren't injured. They were obedient. Rick stood up and said, "Don't worry, they won't hurt you." One of them whispered, "Don't believe him." Rick turned and backhanded her so hard she hit the wall. That's when I ran. I didn't grab my coat, didn't grab my bag. I slammed through the front door and sprinted into the snow. I heard Rick shouting behind me. Not angry, excited. The woods at night are a maze. Trees look the same. Snow hides everything. I fell hard. When I looked back, I saw lantern light weaving through the trees. Then voices, not yelling, calling my name. They shouldn't have known my name. I don't remember how long I ran. My lungs burned. My fingers went numb. I saw headlights, collapsed in the road. A plow truck stopped. The driver asked what happened. I tried to explain. When police searched the cabin, nothing. No Rick, no people, no boots. Just a warm cabin and a fresh pot of coffee on the table. I still live in Minnesota. I still drive those roads. And every winter, when my car heater hiccups, when I see headlights slow down behind me, I keep driving. Because sometimes freezing is safer.
My name is Rachel Moore. I'm 28, from upstate New York, where winter shows up like it owns the place and refuses to leave. I've always joked that I'm built for cold. Bad circulation, dark humor, emotional numbness, the usual. Snowstorms never scared me. They were predictable. What scares me now is how quiet everything gets right before something decides you're next. This started because I broke a rule I didn't know existed. Last winter, during a heavy snowfall, I took a shortcut through an old pedestrian path near the river. It's technically closed in winter, but I figured the sign was more of a suggestion than a warning. I remember laughing to myself about it. If I die out here, at least it'll be ironic. The path was half buried, and near the bend, I saw something dark sticking out of the snow. I thought it was trash. It wasn't. It was a wooden post, old and split down the middle, with a strip of faded cloth tied around it. Someone had carved words into the wood, but the snow had filled the grooves. I brushed it clean with my glove and read the message. Do not follow her home. Naturally, I rolled my eyes. Because I'm an adult, and warning signs are clearly for other people. I untied the cloth, red, stiff with ice, and wrapped it around my wrist like a joke, took a picture, and kept walking. That night, the snow didn't stop. Neither did the feeling that something had shifted slightly out of place. I noticed it first in reflections, not seeing things that weren't there, but seeing things that were a moment too late. My reflection would smile after I stopped, turn its head after I'd already looked away. I joked about it in the mirror. Congrats, Rachel, you're finally losing it. But the joke didn't land. 2 days later, I started seeing her. Always at a distance, always during snowfall. A woman in a thin dress, barefoot, standing perfectly still. She never approached me. She never waved. She just watched. And every time I looked away and looked back, she was closer. I tried ignoring her. That was a mistake. The third night, I heard footsteps outside my apartment, slow and uneven, dragging through fresh snow. I looked out the window and saw her standing directly below, staring up at my place with her head tilted like she was listening. The red cloth on my wrist burned, not hot, not painful, aware. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You weren't supposed to take that." I threw the cloth in the trash. The footsteps stopped immediately. I didn't sleep. The next morning, the cloth was back on my wrist, tied tighter. The words carved into the wooden post started appearing everywhere after that. Scratched into frost-covered cars, traced into snow outside my building, fogged onto my bathroom mirror. Always the same message: do not follow her home. I finally understood too late. The curse wasn't about me following her. It was about her following me. Last night, I heard my front door unlock. No rush, no struggle, just the soft, careful sound of someone coming home. I stood frozen in my bedroom while bare feet crossed the floor, leaving wet footprints that steamed slightly in the cold air. She stopped outside my door and whispered that winter was patient, that it always finishes what it starts, and that now that I'd invited her, she didn't have to wait in the snow anymore. I'm recording this because my reflection won't stop smiling, and the red cloth is cutting into my wrist even though I'm not pulling it tight. The footsteps are moving again, closer this time. And the worst part is that I understand the rule now, and it doesn't matter anymore, because she's already home.
My name is Andrew Keller. I'm 36, from Wisconsin, which means winter, and I have a long, complicated relationship. I've always said the cold doesn't bother me. That's not bravado. It's just what you tell yourself when something is unavoidable. You don't fight winter. You adapt. You layer up. You keep moving. That's important to understand because this didn't start with fear. It started with routine. Last January, during a heavy snowfall, I volunteered to help with overnight warming shelters. Nothing heroic, just handing out blankets, making coffee, pointing people toward cots. The city puts these shelters together quietly because acknowledging how bad winter gets makes people uncomfortable. I joked about it the whole time. Dark humor, easy laughs, the kind that makes you feel useful without feeling responsible. Near the end of my shift, a woman came in late. No name on the sign-in sheet, no ID. She was quiet, thin, dressed wrong for the weather, like she'd underestimated it once and paid for it ever since. I asked if she needed medical help. She shook her head. I asked where she'd been staying. She looked at me for a long moment and said, "Outside." I laughed and said something stupid like, "Well, winter's not the forgiving type." She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was relieved, like she'd finally been acknowledged. When the shelter closed in the morning, we had to clear everyone out. That's policy, liability. I helped people pack up, handed out flyers, avoided eye contact. When I got to her, she asked if she could stay just a little longer. I told her no. I told myself I'd done my part. I told myself she'd find somewhere else. She didn't argue. She just said, "Then you'll remember me." That should have bothered me more than it did. A week later, during another storm, I saw her standing outside my apartment building. Same clothes, same calm expression. Snow piling on her shoulders like she'd been there a long time. I assumed it was coincidence. Cities reuse faces. Winter does strange things to memory. So I ignored her and went inside. That night, I dreamed I was back at the shelter, handing out blankets that kept dissolving in my hands. Every time I turned around, she was closer, watching, waiting for me to notice. The dreams didn't stop. Neither did she. Every snowfall after that, I saw her somewhere near me. Across the street, at the bus stop, standing under streetlights where snow erased footprints. She never approached, never spoke, just watched, patient as the cold itself. I started losing sleep. I told myself I was projecting guilt, stress, burnout, anything that sounded reasonable, until I tried to help. One night, I walked toward her, asked if she needed anything. She smiled and said, "You already decided what I needed." Then she turned and walked into the snow, leaving nothing behind. No tracks, no direction, just absence. That's when I realized what the curse was. She wasn't haunting me. She was waiting for winter to finish what I'd started. The people who disappeared that season, the ones found frozen in alleys, in parks, on porches, started showing up in my dreams too. Not accusing, not angry, just present, standing contemplate while the cold crept in. I recognized some of them from the shelter, faces I'd nodded at, people I'd helped just enough to feel decent. I stopped volunteering. I stopped sleeping. I started drinking to keep the dreams shallow. It didn't matter. This winter, the first heavy snowfall hit last night. I looked out my window and saw her standing by my car, snow coating her hair, her eyes fixed on my building. She wasn't alone anymore. Others stood with her. Quiet, familiar, waiting. I understand now. Winter doesn't curse you for cruelty. It curses you for choosing comfort when someone else needed warmth. It remembers the decisions you justify. It keeps score. I don't think they're here to kill me. I think they're here to make sure I never forget. And judging by how cold my apartment feels tonight, even with the heat on full, I think winter has decided I've stayed warm long enough.